Right, absolutely, and I think that's what it is, a lot of it, whenever
We-
you hear.
Yeah, we.
Oh, no, oh! Jake, where'd you go? Where'd Jake go? Jake, where'd you go? Hey, where'd you go? Where did Jake go? Go outside. I'm not really got him. By the railroad. Jake, you there? Hello? Where'd you go? Where in the heck did he go? Well, looking at the railroad, he's not there now. Where the heck he is? Where'd you go? Oh dear. I don't reckon he'd be in here. Jade. Get in here. Here, Jake. Come on. Oh my God. Whoa, Jake, what are you doing, pal?
What?
You okay?
What's going on?
What are you doing here?
I don't know. I don't remember how I got here.
Remember how you got here?
Yeah. Well, weren't we recording earlier today?
Yeah.
A few minutes ago, right?
Yeah. Wow. Do you remember what happened?
Oh, now I can.
Okay.
Have my wrist back.
I'll get you out of here. Any idea what just happened?
No.
It's crazy.
Where did you come from? Where are we at?
Well, we were looking all over for you.
You looking all over? Like where? Like where are we?
All over the yard. I mean, we're downstairs right now.
So we're still in the studio?
Well, just below, downstairs, yeah.
Below the studio, okay.
Directly below. You gonna be all right?
I think so.
Okay.
Just a little bit of a headache.
Okay.
But I'm sure it'll be good.
Well, you said we better get back there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
Welcome back to the Great World Podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Gedges, joined by co-host Jake Fulmer and special guest Darrell Foster. Jake, what are we looking at today?
Well, today we're going to be revisiting some topics that we didn't get to in the previous episode because of the interruption. And then Darrell will be giving his preview of the music project.
Oh yeah. Can't wait to hear about that, so let's get right into it.
Yes, we'll go ahead and do that. Starting off today with continuing the conversation before the intruder came in and did all of that we just saw.
Yeah, that was a rough day.
Yeah, I don't even really remember how I got down there.
Yeah, by the way, how are you doing after all that?
Oh, well,
you holding up all right?
Managed pretty good. Took a little bit of ibuprofen a few minutes ago, but that's really
Darrell,
starting to kick in.
Did you hear what happened to Jake the other day?
I did hear about that, yeah. How you doing all right, man?
Yeah, I mean, it took a couple of hours to heal, but I'm glad you were able to join us tonight.
That's impressive. It would have taken me at least a couple of days, so that's impressive.
It's been quite an April Fool's Day, I have to say.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you back, my friend.
Well, you know what they say, we call it April Fools. You just got pranked by someone.
Yeah, and
I guess so.
Does anybody know who that guy was who came in and?
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of a prank that is, tying you up in the basement. So.
Yeah, that was not good, you know.
Well, I did look back, and the guy kind of looked familiar.
Yeah.
Does he?
So you saw some of our footage that we shot earlier today?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and this might sound crazy, you know, but this isn't the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
So.
You see, I'm a frequent viewer of your podcast, and I noticed this strange man burst in and got Isaac out the window. He got beaten up by Braden.
That was rough, and apparently now he's kind of targeting Jake.
Wait a second. This is the same guy who pushed you out the window?
I got a little glimpse of him the other day. He looked about the same.
Well, you see, I wasn't here, as you might recall. I had to leave for an important call, so I actually never saw this guy the first time.
Well, and Darrell, you know,
but that's what he looked like.
Yeah, Darrell saw the playback, and he said it looked just the same. So I don't know what this guy's deal is.
A little suspicious.
Yeah, I mean.
So that covers that, and if there's any suspicious activity in the coming days, any sort of things of that, you know, as far as our audience is concerned, we do plan to go on with the podcast and continue with that. So if things go otherwise, that is reasonable cause for suspicion.
Yeah, and tomorrow we might get some cameras installed before we do any additional filming.
We'll be sure to do that.
We feel that any threat has been taken care of.
I believe so.
Did you see where the guy went, or how long?
I didn't see where he went.
How long were you on the ground?
Disappears.
Like a couple hours or so?
I don't know. You know, I mean, when you pass out, you don't really have a concept of time, so it's hard saying.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I guess it depends on how long it took for you to find me. How long did it take you to find me?
Oh gosh, it took several hours. I mean.
Several hours. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we've got a chunk of that published on podcast, but I mean, the whole process was pretty laborious. So.
Wow.
I mean.
Well, thank you for sticking it out and finding me. You were probably just a few minutes away from feeling like you had to call the authorities.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're all right, pal. So.
Well, and I'm glad that you were able to get up from the situation as well.
Yeah.
So
anyway, that covers that stuff. A little bit checking up about that, perhaps, but
Yeah.
it's good to have that behind us. So.
Well, and one more thing. If you know who did this, if you have any idea, you get any sort of clue, please let us know.
Right, and let us know either in the comments down below
Yeah.
the video or send that in. Send us an email, gwp-international@att.net. That's gwp-international@att.net. Any help that you might be able to offer, we would appreciate, because, to be
Yeah.
quite frank, we have no bloody idea where this fellow went. So.
Yeah, and we don't know how long he's going to stick around or who he might be targeting next. If he's targeting
Right.
you, or if he might be targeting you just
Right.
because you're a viewer of the podcast. And so keep that in mind. That's why we need to find this guy, because we're not
Right.
only in danger, but you could also be in
Right,
danger as well.
and we want to ensure that our loyal viewers do stay safe. So, if you have any concern about that, please reach out. Let us know. If there's anything we can do to help, please let us know. We'll do that to the best of our abilities. But so, a bit shaken up over that, but no need to belabor the obvious. So, moving forward, what else are we looking at today, Jake?
Well, we were talking about the possibility of space colonization. Do we want to resume talking about that?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. I think we just barely touched on it. So, logistically, in the coming future, well, how realistic do you think it is that we'll be able to do this? And if so, well, either way, why exactly would we do this? What would necessitate it? What are your thoughts, guys?
Well, as we mentioned previously, because the concern is that the globe will one day burn up because of all the wildfires, and we mentioned how a lot of that is human caused, or just how bad decisions have led to those issues. But
Sure.
some of those wildfires have been strictly from natural causes, on that, including an example of that would be back in July of 2023, the Lahaina wildfires in Hawaii. I don't know if you guys heard what happened, but what it was is there was a hurricane that passed about 150 miles to the south of the islands.
Right.
Then there was an area of high pressure to the north, and in between that there was these winds that were up to 80 miles per hour.
Right.
There was a really bad drought in 2023, and then these fires, they spread so rapidly.
Right.
And there was there wasn't any warning. There was apparently these sirens that they could have sounded, but they were concerned that people might mistaken that as a tsunami and they might run towards the fire. So they didn't end up sounding an alarm, but people actually had to jump into the ocean just so that they wouldn't be burned up.
Right. I mean, I can't imagine what something like that would be. It must have been. Just experiencing that must have been horrific. And
it was. And it was.
You mentioned that. You mentioned the wildfires again. At large, we recently had the ones in California, and largely natural causes, natural influences. But there are certainly other factors at play in those. But the idea is that say these things go on happening, and at some point the Earth is just going to become inhabitable, and where we're going. And there have been.
Space.
I know the idea of colonizing Mars has been floated. How would you guys feel about that?
What, do we have to terraform it?
Have to terraform it. So, what exactly would that be? I can't say I'm familiar there.
What terraforming is?
Yeah.
Is basically making a replica Earth.
Right.
So like you take Mars
Okay.
and you just add the Earth to it.
That makes sense. Do you know much about how? Do you think that would be possible, or how difficult
It
would
might
that
be
process
possible, but it could be possible. Right now we're not technologically advanced to have terraform, anything.
I didn't think so.
So is this now like a race to see if we can get to that point? Like, can we technologically advance in time before the globe burns up?
Well, that would be a good question, but I highly doubt it right now.
Yeah.
Because right now some of the smartest people aren't really doing anything.
Right. And I would kind of doubt it too. And you said like the race to do this. I certainly wouldn't say I'm part of the race to space. Something similar to that. There just doesn't seem to be as much interest in it, at least not at this point. And as Darrell mentioned, largely because we don't even know that we have all the resources to do that at this point.
And the sad thing is that South Korea is also on fire.
Yeah, really? Wow.
Yeah, my motherland, dude, it's on fire.
Wow.
Well, and as you guys might recall, in 2023, there was these Canadian wildfires, and the smoke kept blowing towards the U.S.
Right,
and
I
then
remember
we had
that.
air quality issues. New York City actually had the worst air quality in the world at one point, which is like never happened before.
Right, I know that affected New York, and it also affected D.C. Actually, I had a friend that was in D.C. at the time and said, yeah, the smoke coming in from Canada is definitely noticeable in the air quality. So.
Yeah, the visibility was reduced significantly.
Right.
Australia, they had their round of wildfires as well. And,
Right.
now we're actually dealing with wildfires in North Carolina. There's
Yeah,
been
North Carolina
evacuations from
now.
that.
Yeah.
And what's worse about that is the ones in North Carolina right now are going through the same areas that got destroyed by Helene, the hurricane back in
Right.
September.
So North Carolina's just been one thing right after another with a hurricane, and now they got wildfires. So.
Yeah, it has not been good.
This is not North Carolina's time.
Right. No, it's
That's a misfortune.
it is.
And I mean, some could say that about Florida. Even the Florida Keys were experiencing fires, and I mean that's really unusual. Even like Manhattan had wildfires.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
when's the last time we've had a wildfire in like close to New York City, or Los Angeles?
Of course,
I mean,
recent
that's
wildfires in the Florida Keys, and like with the recent hurricanes in North Carolina, of course, the Florida Keys are an area particularly susceptible to hurricanes as well. So.
Yeah, it's not a very good combination.
Right.
And so again, it leaves the question if, I mean, these wildfires, some of them have been spreading at, well, they burned a whole football field in a couple of minutes is how fast some of these have been moving, highway speed. And so it really leaves the question of, would we need this space colonization to happen? And this sounds really crazy, but could it end up turning out to be like the space race to the moon back during the Cold War?
Well, I believe it's possible.
But unlikely?
Yeah, I would say unlikely at this point. What do you think, Darrell?
Yeah, back on the terraforming. Right now, obviously we're not technologically advanced for that, and we probably won't be because we need to invest our money into it. So if Elon Musk was truly invested in the idea of terraforming Mars, he would have invested a lot of money into research.
Right.
And he has failed to do that, despite saying like we should colonize Mars. He never did. He's a billionaire. If he is passionate enough about investing money into having humans on Mars, why aren't you doing it?
Right, he would seem to have the resources to, and he's definitely for a long time, it seems, flirted with the idea of colonizing Mars, but hasn't quite materialized. And he's got a lot of fires going. No pun intended. So.
Yeah,
okay.
that's a little misfortune.
So, anyway, so what do you think about that, Jake? I mean, given that we possibly have the resources for it, do you think this is necessary or something that we ought to be doing?
Well,
or could become necessary in the foreseeable future.
If we feel like it is necessary, and
what do you feel like? Do you think it is at this point, or?
Probably not.
Okay, I wouldn't say so either. At least not yet.
Yeah,
I think you, Darrell?
It's not necessary.
Right.
Yeah, I think it depends on the projection of how bad do these wildfires get, how bad do these natural disasters get. At this point, there has already been a lot of change that's taken place. Whether that's actually helping or not, it's kind of hard to tell. If we just look at the most recent wildfires that we've had, it doesn't really appear to in that sense. But it becomes very difficult because anytime that you are artificially messing with the climate, we'll say, anytime you're artificially messing with that, there's a lot of danger, because if you make one little error, something could go severely wrong.
Right, because then the fear is that in doing this, you'd offset the balance of everything else. There'd be sort of this domino effect of things, so going downhill.
Yeah, there's been animals that have almost been completely extinct because of certain maneuvers that have been tried.
Yeah.
And the issue with that is if you lose like if an animal goes extinct, some can completely ruin the ecosystem.
Right.
And that's almost been done. Our entire ecosystem has almost been accidentally destroyed on multiple occasions just because we've tried to intervene. And so I think that's a perfect example that we shouldn't try to intervene.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've got to draw the line somewhere. So, and that's something we really don't want that happening, do we?
Because that's something that you're going to have a very difficult time from recovering. Well, that kind of goes through climate change and how space colonization could be necessary, as proposed from Elon Musk. Now, Darrell, are you ready to give us an update on your music project from the previous update from episode 2?
Episode 2. All right. So, basically, we've scrapped every song from version 2, and I'm working with a friend now. We have made very great progress since we
Excellent.
Yes, we're still we're still practicing, but I have noticed that throughout, producing my own stuff, I've been getting better, and so I'm basically teaching myself on how to produce songs. So I've been learning, drum patterns, and it's really great. And let's see, we've also been writing lyrics too, so.
Yeah. Very nice. We've had you on the show before, Darrell, and you played a lot of your different music for me. We've worked on some of that, and I've heard through the years, and folks, I can vouch for it. It has improved drastically, and it sounds like this project, you've kind of taken it back down to the studs and started rethinking it, got a couple more people involved, and so I'm really excited to see what this project will bring. So, Jake, do you have any questions for Darrell?
Yeah, and so we've talked a little bit about this off camera and everything, just kind of behind the scenes. But would you ever be interested in sharing some music through the podcast? Having everybody on GWP having that opportunity.
Well, it depends on completion.
Okay.
So right now, a whole lot of our stuff is obviously incomplete. We're still in the process of making it. Some sounds good, some sounds mid. We're still trying to figure it all out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a delicate process, so you don't want to rush it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, what I was intending it to drop around this time, but unfortunately, as time went on, I went through a realization. I had an epiphany. You know what I mean? I have an epiphany, and that epiphany told me I'm gonna have to wait a long time to even think about dropping it, because there's a lot of stuff that I have to do and learn if I even wanted to make it sound remotely good on at least a professional level. But it's going to sound very amateurish for a reason, because I'm producing my own stuff. And I'm not going to hire anybody else, any professional people like whoever's on the internet. I'm not going to be like down getting a license for their produced music, because I'm going to do it by myself.
Naturally, it's not difficult to see how that can be a time-consuming process, and I'm sure it'll be well worth the effort, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are looking forward to hearing that. So, Darrell, you'll have to keep us posted as far as that goes whenever these songs come out, and perhaps we can even give our listeners a little bit of a sneak peek.
Well, whenever we have a somewhat decent sounding song, or at least instrumental, because obviously we're not going to have any vocals recorded until, I learn how to do all that, vocalism. So I gotta learn how to get the delivery down, the flow down.
Right.
Voice control. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At least be on a good pitch, maybe.
Right.
It's very, it's a complicated process. You know what amuses me? People think it's just easy.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it certainly isn't easy.
No, it's not. People think singing is easy. Well, you try singing and you'll sound really bad.
Right.
And especially pairing that with your own music that you're creating. Doing both of those at the same time can be very difficult.
Right.
Yeah, I'm doing literally everything.
Yeah.
I am.
It makes it difficult.
I am the executive producer of my own stuff, so I'm doing everything. I'm doing the
Right.
vocals. I'm making my own instrumentals. I'm doing the mixing. Of course, I have my friend with me. He's also helping, like, writing stuff down and producing. So it also helps both of us, do something for once, because
Right.
we don't do much. So I had this idea, back around 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would know,
Yeah.
because there's a thing I found called Soundtrap, and that's what I use right now, right?
Right.
And that's the start of it, because I found it Soundtrap. I made an account during freshman year, and then I made another account off of my school email in 2022. And of course, I told you about it, Isaac.
Right.
And then you had an account. My friend had an account.
Yeah.
And then that's how it kind of started. I'm more of the active user.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been throughout the years I've been doing samples. I've not been doing my own stuff.
Right.
And then around I would just say 2024 is when I started learning how to make drum patterns and using
Right.
tempos and making the drum patterns go with the tempo. And I think I've improved significantly in just a
I'd
matter
say,
of
yeah,
weeks.
they're sounding better all the time.
All the time. I've been from simple to complex drum structures. Sometimes it sounds weird, but
Right.
I'm learning, and I can't handle like the slow tempos, like the 80.
Mm-hmm.
80, I can't handle that, but I can most certainly, adapt to it.
Right.
Same
That's
with
understandable. You've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now I'm like on the fast tempo, so, and I could try and see if I can go faster, and I gotta see if I can go slower. But for now, it's gonna be like medium to fast temp. So like somewhere around 93 to maybe 150.
Excellent.
And I would say that's a good range.
Yeah, I know. Initially, when you came in, I believe this past year, talk about your music project. You shared your album with us that you're putting together, your graduation album. That's my understanding. That's changed a little bit, the name of it, and you said you've sort of taken it back down to the studs and rethinking it, and so it's going to be a little bit different. What can you tell us about some of the changes on that?
First of all, I saw lightning outside, so that's cool.
Really, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lightning.
Lightning on April Fool's Day.
Yeah. Looks like the weather's going to play a little prank on us.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Anyway.
That's right.
You can add that.
Sure can.
You can add that if you absolutely need to.
Anyway, since I got a little distracted by the lightning, I swear I don't have ADHD. What was your question again?
The question again. So, yes, I believe this past year you came in and told us a little bit about the album that you were working on, your graduation album. So you got a chance to take that down to the studs and kind of rethink it. There's going to be some different things on there. What are the major changes on there?
The changes. Yeah, so the major changes has been the instrumentals. Like, I have 3 versions. Version 1, which is built off of mainly samples. Some of it's pretty good. Version 2, which is also solely produced by me. There's some samples, but I have been making my original instrumentals. Some of it's pretty good, I'd say, but otherwise they're kind of meh. And then the version 3, which has my friend, whenever asked him if he wanted to get involved, and he immediately said yes.
Wow.
I was like, yo, you wanna like make music? And he said yes. It did not take him long. He did not hesitate. So that was a good sign.
Excellent.
And the title of the mixtape, or whatever you want to call it, Graduation. It might not be called Graduation anymore because it's not going to be school related or anything.
Right, because it'll be staggered out a little bit more as far as timing goes, right?
Yeah, I suspect it might be around 2027, but it might even be 2030.
Right.
Because if it's 2030, then I would probably be really good at producing.
Right.
So that means I would have several years of experience, and I would be an overnight local star. But.
So, well, in any case, sure, it's sounded great with all the time that that you've put into it, be it 2027, 2030. We can't wait to hear it. And even along the way, if you have periodic sneak peeks, we'd love to hear those.
Well, like I said, I can't play any snippets right now, but I can like tell you some song titles and even an idea of a song that I have.
Sure. What are some of the song titles?
All right. So an idea that I talked about in March 27th, but is for now this is just a work in progress thing.
Right.
It's called Local Goat. For those who don't know, goat means spirit is full time.
Right.
Just in case, some people don't know, and that's fine. Even I was uninformed until I searched it up. So with that song, what I was thinking about Local Goat is like, already being the very best in the beta. So that's a victory lap dance for me. And I don't know how it's gonna sound yet, but I think it's gonna sound good when we actually work on it.
I'm sure.
But anyway, another one. I'm going to leak it a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to let y'all in on a little something. There's
Yeah, Darrell. What's that?
There's a song that is in the works. Might be the lead single.
Okay.
It's called Villain Gang.
Villain Gang.
Villain Gang.
Okay.
Now,
So what was the inspiration for that?
Oh, you have asked a really great question, my friend. Mi amigo. So, Villain Gang. Some people may not know of this, but there is a little song called Hero Gang.
Okay.
Hero Gang. So I'm just gonna say the very little information I know about Hero Gang.
Okay.
It was dropped by this record label. I know it's probably local, called Hero Music, and it has it's mid. My friend and I made fun of it. It kind of goes like, "We the squad, yeah, Hero Gang," all of that. So we just made fun of it, and the beginning line of the first verse is like, "Tyrannosaurus Rex, I'm the lyrical general, blah blah blah," and
Right. So not the most creative lyricism going on there.
Exactly, and part of the lyrics of my verse in Villain Gang is like it calls them out on the lyricism, and I get their message too, because they're God-fearing men, that's good,
Right.
You can be God-fearing, you can be Buddha, I don't care which religion you are, you're still a homie to me. Anyway, as I was saying, I have taken notice that people in hero music only has one message. This is God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and it's like, get new material. You can't just be talking about God and Jesus like all the time. That's why they're stagnant in my opinion.
Right, and it would seem even in a religious context surrounding that, they've got a lot more to work with.
Exactly,
They're just focusing on the very basic.
And I
parts
like
of that. Yeah, Jake.
Hold on, please excuse me. I'm gonna get some more pain medicine.
Okay.
It's just gotten a little bit bad,
Thanks for sticking with us, folks.
Get
and,
this to eat with it here.
You'll have to pardon the momentary interruption if Jake slips out.
Whoa, don't fall, Darrell.
I have water.
No, we wouldn't want that to
We have
happen.
medicine if you need it.
So,
Anyway, like I said, I appreciate the message, but they're talking about it way too much.
right.
I'm gonna take Jake's spot for now. I'm gonna see if I can get myself in view. Anyway, like I said, I'm okay with their message. I'm not going to discriminate.
No.
My friend, even he started embracing his Christianity, and I supported him. I was like, go ahead, dude. Especially in his time of need, it was like, yo, if Christianity helps, go for it. Well, that was a very short list. That was a very short list of me saying something.
All right.
And it's back. It's good to have you, Jake.
All right, I'm gonna get off from your seat now.
You're hanging in there, pal?
Yeah.
And
Just do the after effect.
After effects.
Yeah.
okay, so
Okay.
as I was saying, the message, it's cool, but
Right.
I do believe that they have to stop at one some point because you can't be talking about it all the time. That's why they're so stagnant, because they only have one thing to talk about. And
Right.
there's so many things they could talk about, and they just don't. They keep talking about one thing, and even I bet you even like hardcore Christian people, not hardcore Christian people, but most Christian people were like, okay, we get it, we get the point.
Right.
Please move on.
I mean, I would certainly say that from a very basic standpoint, and
Yeah, as a Christian yourself,
It doesn't go into a great deal of depth, and like you said, it's very repetitive. There isn't a great deal of substance to it.
Exactly. So I'm loading up lyrics of Villain Gang if I can, but anyway, like I said,
So,
that's kind of the point of Villain Gangs,
right.
It's like a diss track. My friend and I were like, this is going to be a diss track.
In other words, this is your way of setting yourself apart from the competition.
Yeah, so there's not going to be a whole lot of competition in this
Right.
area.
We don't have a lot of music producers in this area.
No, I don't know anybody that makes music. Like.
I really can't say that I do either. I mean, you introduced me to the Hero Gang, and
yeah.
Well, obviously I know you, but outside of that, I can't say I know of anyone in our area who produces music. Do you, Jake?
Not yet. I know that we will have a few people.
Okay, very nice.
Soon, there's.
Okay.
There's.
Well, great.
Let's just say that there's a friend of mine next year who will be going to college in that field. So.
Okay, excellent.
Nice.
Yeah.
My brother, he knows someone who was in the music industry for over a decade. He went to our school.
Really?
So I could just ask my brother to hit him up, and we could talk about it. Yeah, my friend would definitely want to talk to me. Anyway, so me and my friend, we were making fun of Hero Gang, but there's also one specific person that we like to make fun of the most. His artist name is Exiguous.
Exiguous. Well, that's a mouthful. What's that even supposed to mean?
Let me check. Okay, I have a screenshot of his Spotify profile. Y'all can talk about the music. I'm going to find the screenshot. It shouldn't take me too long.
Well, I guess to kind of expand on, just kind of explain, the one difference is that one friend that I was mentioning before is going to be more, not really into the lyrical side, but more just into the music creation side.
Right.
They're planning to be a band director. That's what they're going to be going to study. So.
Alright. I found what Exiguous meant. Very small in size or amount.
Okay.
Which is very obvious because he has 11 monthly listeners according to my screenshot.
Okay. Well, wouldn't seem like that sort of name would be a way of setting yourself up for success, but well, I suppose he chose it for a reason.
Yeah, I think it's like it's not that bad of a name, I suppose, but
it's sort of catchy in a way.
But the problem is that he defined himself very accurately because he doesn't have much of a monthly listener count.
I suppose so.
Anyway, and during me and my friend, we were kind of making fun of him, especially his singing ability. I can't play the song for copyright reasons, but let's just say, Isaac, you would know this. His singing is very terrible. It's not good at all.
Right.
And he's like, I'm so good at singing. Look at me, listen to me sing instead of rapping on the beat. Wahoo! And I told Adrian, this is the most white person thing I've ever heard. And so when we made Villain Gang, my friend was like, we should make a little. So the poem, like the poetry type where you spell a word like.
Yeah.
Like you want to spell pool for whatever reason. You start.
Right, an acrostic poem.
Yeah. So that's what we did. We spelled exiguous in the first verse.
Clever.
I can read some of the lines, but
Sure.
I'm gonna have to censor myself because there is.
Okay.
So I'm gonna censor myself. Egregious and hitty, feeling like P Diddy. Zarek is your hit, drier than your girls. Hey, I'm gonna say hey to. Just to say it's not a good word there.
Sure.
There's some words in Arabic. Gisamek.
Oh.
I can't say what the word says. Okay, this is a huge word. Ignominious, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Oh.
Maybe. Songs, never saw people boogie, grueling stuff. How can I flunk? Gotcha. Flunk you, making me spit a loogie. Ugly itch and get your hair fixed. Obnoxious itch and get your hit eclipsed. Use caution, your career's been dismissed. Fly like a fox, shifty in a jiffy, be witty as that persist.
Well, really catching. And to imagine that was written as sort of an acrostic poem?
Yeah, my friend suggested it, so we kind of limited ourselves.
Really?
Yeah, and of course, then the second verse is not about exiguous. It's about hero. It's about hero music as a whole. So I kind of dissed the entire local competition, saying when villain getting dropped, it becomes the bank forcing ops to hang. And then I went on to hero music. Claim you have lyrical ability, but there's only one thing you rap about. The religious.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I mean, it's not a bad message, but it gets some variety in a drought.
Right, and they could do a great deal to build off that, but as we previously said, just not a great deal of substance. They just did a very basic level and don't really
And I really like
build
this.
off of it a great deal. So it's not terribly interesting.
I use British slang too.
Okay.
I don't know if I can say it though.
Uh,
It starts with a T, T-W-A-T.
British slang. Okay. Yeah.
Can I say that? I don't know if it's a swear word. I don't think it is.
Sure.
I'm gonna say it anyway. Twat, I'm the local career SWAT. Does that go hard? I mean, I really like that line. Twat, I'm the local career SWAT. I just had a
that would work.
I just skipped one word because it's also a swear word, and I know how much you two don't want any swear words on here, so
Right.
I am avoiding all that. And then I said before you do anything, some advice, ignore it, take it from me. And then I said, there's a reason no one made it musically. It's because there's only one niche, and you have to think about it and switch your pitch. Just because yay Kanye did it doesn't mean yay can, but and it's time to make a band, which band I would think would mean money.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then a special little verse from my friend Skim Beeble. That's his producer name and all that. But I am not going to say a single word from this verse
Okay.
because it is it's just a little too silly. Let's just say that. It's a little.
We get it.
Let's just say they call him the blunder.
Well, very creative. In particular, the acrostic that we actually spell out exiguous and exiguous, that is, and well, I certainly can't say that I'm an expert in the realm of musical lyrics, but I don't really know. Is that a common thing to sort of use the acrostic poem style?
I don't think so.
I haven't seen a great deal of that.
I would.
That'll be a unique thing.
It
will be. You'll have.
So it makes it more of a subliminal diss towards
Right.
him too.
Right. That's really neat how it's sort of encoded there.
Yeah. So
Right.
props to my friend Adrian. He thought of it as what?
Yeah. Well, that was an excellent idea.
Yeah. So that's how we got the diss down, and of course, the chorus of the song interpolates an exiguous song different, of which I'm just a little bit different. Oh, I'm a little bit different. I'm a little bit different. A little bit different. A little bit different. So the chorus is just as you're a little bit different, just a little bit different. That's how you like to roll. Don't let me slow your roll at the end.
Yeah.
And so that is a perfect reason for everybody here that's watching to listen to music from Darrell.
Exactly.
When it is released here in a couple of years, because he over here, along with the rest of your team, you guys are doing things that are very unique.
Right.
That gives you a reason, that sets you apart, Darrell.
Yeah.
Right.
And right now we're working on lyrics for 3 other songs. I'm not gonna say much about it, but there's a song about having real friends.
Right.
Like those two stick together. It's not complete yet. There's only one verse, but it's not complete. Adrian did say it reminded him of this musical for some reason. I forgot what it's called, but it's basically has some form of pessimism and all of it. That's fine. And then there's okay. So I think technically it's 2 songs because I scratched one. So one of the songs has already been scrapped because it just sounded too.
Sure.
In my opinion, so.
Right, it's important to apply some quality control here and there.
Yeah.
It's good that you're doing that as well. Another good thing.
Right.
Another good reason to listen in.
Yeah.
Right.
Because.
Making good quality products.
And of course, I have my brother. His name is also Jake. And if some of you might not know, but he's like one of the guitarists for Tip of the Finger Comedy with Matt Pike. Either you know him or you don't. Choking on water, just like the taco shell.
Oh yes.
We don't need a repeat of that, Isaac.
I think it was a taco shell from.
You get there?
Oh yeah, liquid taco shell, right?
Liquid taco shell.
A liquid, crunchy taco shell, delicious.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. We have more instrumentals, unfortunately. Oh, I'm having hiccups. But, so I was saying we have more instrumentals, which is unfortunate. We have more instrumentals than lyrics, but I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I would say it's best to make lyrics first and then build your song off of
that. Makes a lot of sense because I'd imagine it could be difficult having a song and then trying to.
But you could also build
dream up the lyrics along with it. And
you can do that.
Right, you can.
You can, it's possible. But like for Bill and Gang, I made the instrumentals for it, and it's kind of hard to imagine how Bill and Gang would sound with the lyrics.
Right.
So like sometimes what you gotta do is record the vocals first and then build your instrumentals.
Right, and then build from that.
Yeah. So like you gotta find your tempo, and so like you want to know how your flow will sound like, your delivery, and when you have that all imagined in your head, you record it and do several takes and like choose the best take,
Right.
And then you build your instrumental based off of the vocals you delivered.
That makes a lot of sense because oftentimes the vocals that's the focal point of the song, and so if you start there and build off of that, it would seem that the rest would fall into place somewhat after that. So.
Yeah, but be on your toes, Hero Gang. Villain Gang's gonna blow you away.
All right, that was really well said there. Well, Darrell for coming on here tonight.
Thank you again for joining us, Darrell.
Yeah.
It's great to see you, my friend. And we can't wait to hear that. Stay tuned for that new music coming out.
In around maybe 2027?
Right, 2027.
We hope 27, but maybe as early as 26.
Right.
Maybe even a preview
In
later
any case,
this year.
it sounds like a long time, but folks, believe me, it'll be well worth the wait.
Yes, it will.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to follow you, Darrell, and
right.
provide more updates, possibly sneak peeks, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Jake, anything else you might add?
I think that is it for tonight.
Okay. Well, excellent, Darrell. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time.
I'm Jacob Fulmer.
And I'm Isaac Hedges, host of the Great Worlds Podcast. Today we were joined once again by a special guest, Darrell Foster. That's all for now. Until next time.
Villain Gang!
Yes.
That's right. From all of us at the Great World Podcast and GWP International, good night and God bless.